The key to controlling your mind, and therefore your life, is to learn how to become the observer of your thoughts. Okay, so I've tried to explain this in the past, and I don't think it's quite hitting. It's kind of a complex topic, but I'm going to try to explain it simply. And once you get it, once it clicks, you're going to completely transform how you look at yourself and ignite your self improvement journey. So let's say you think a thought, right? Or an emotion comes up. Let's say someone cut you off in traffic and you're angry about it, or you just made plans to go on a date and you're anxious. Now, when an event like that happens, you have an initial split-second reaction in the form of an emotion. So you make the plans, you have the emotion of anxiety come up, and then more thoughts form on top of that afterwards. Like, what if I say the wrong thing? What if I'm not good enough? I have to impress this person. And it's really like a big loop. You could keep getting caught in this cycle and keep spiraling downwards as those additional thoughts you have cause more anxiety, which cause more negative thoughts and cause more anxiety. And then you get to the point where you don't even want to go out anymore. It's really like you're a damn rat. You're constantly running on this wheel around and around, and it's taking you nowhere. It's the equivalent of being in a mental prison. You are literally a prisoner of your thoughts. And then you say, okay, I'll just try to stop thinking about the date coming up and I'll just push down my anxiety. But we know that when we do that, the anxiety comes back even stronger. Clearly, we need a solution to this problem, and it's not just pushing all your thoughts and emotions away. We also need a way to actually solve our anxiety, solve our fear, our depression, our uncontrollable anger, our sadness. We need a solution besides just medicating ourselves or avoiding it altogether. Becoming the observer of your thoughts breaks that cycle of getting constantly caught up in your thoughts and emotions. First, we're going to start at the bottom. We need to talk about consciousness. We hear that buzzword all the time, but what actually is it? To simplify, let's look at a dog compared to a human. A dog can think, but it doesn't really know that it is thinking. In other words, it's not conscious or aware that it is thinking. It is acting unconsciously, or as far as we know, it's acting on thousands or millions of years of instincts and impulses that were formed through evolution. They are acting, but they aren't really aware that they are acting. Humans, on the other hand, have this extra ability. I'm talking right now and I'm forming sentences and thoughts, but I am fully aware, I know that I'm doing this. We have an extra layer of consciousness or awareness that animals do not have. And I'm probably one of the most self-aware people you'll ever meet, sometimes too self-aware. I exist and I am aware that I exist. Think about that for a second. I'm not just driven completely on animal instinct. Yeah, I may act out of my animal instinct sometimes, but most of the time I am consciously acting. I can reflect on the past. I have the ability to set goals. I have the ability to plan for the future. I can consciously choose what decisions to make. I really have more control over the direction of my life than a dog has. Now, I will point out one thing. A lot of us don't have this consciousness. We are just acting, really not thinking about our actions and what the repercussions of them could be. Now, bear with me here. I'm going to go a little further and hopefully drive this home. We explored the conscious versus the unconscious, and we talked about why it's cool that we could have this extra layer of awareness, but it also could be not so cool. If we identify with our thoughts too much, they can control us. Anything that comes into our head can affect us. All right, now sit back, take a deep breath, and hear me out. What if I told you that you are not the thinker of your thoughts?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Your deepest level of awareness is actually the observer of your thoughts. So let's look at life as a movie, right? You think that you are the main character, and that's pretty true. But at the deepest level, you're actually watching yourself from a higher level act in the movie.
It's a wonderful thing to realize that you can not think. It's a wonderful thing to realize that you are still there when you're not thinking, because usually you don't even know that you're thinking. You are the thinking. So there's no outside thing that knows that you are thinking. You are just the thinking. You become the thinking, the thinker, and the thinker is the person. And to step out of the person, you have to experience that there is a dimension in you where the person is not, but something deeper is there. From the point of view of the usual thinking mind, the realization that there is a dimension in you where thinking either does not happen at all or becomes unimportant, to the thinking mind, that is either a threat or completely uninteresting. Because what could be less interesting than not thinking?
So let's say a thought comes up like, I think I'm not good enough or I can't do something. You are actually the witness of that thought. The issue is that we identify without us knowing it with every single thought that we have, and that's why we get wrapped up in them so easily.
To practice self-observation, is there enough presence in you so that you can self-observe your own motivations, your own thought structures? What are the habitual thoughts that I think? So that you are not drawn continuously into every thought that comes and follow it where it wants to take you. One little thought comes in about your life, oh, and then another thought, and you follow it, oh no. And then before you know it, more thoughts come, and then other conflicting thoughts, and no, that's not how it is. Yes, it is. No, oh, I can't take anymore. And you believe in that thought too, that you can't take anymore. So the ability to observe non-judgmentally what goes on inside you.
The thoughts are not me. They are just thoughts. They become truth when we choose to identify with them. Your thoughts don't determine your identity. The real you is the awareness above the thoughts. You're basically looking at yourself from a bird's eye view. The real you is really just existing. It's your soul that's kind of overlooking everything. You can observe your thoughts and emotions without judging them, without reacting to them. This is what we aim to do in meditation. You close your eyes, find some silence, and just start to observe your thoughts. Let them just float through your mind like clouds instead of clinging to each and every one of them and getting emotionally tied up into them. You really are just observing them. Through consistent meditation practice, you can become non-reactive to your everyday thoughts, and now you can start actually using your mind instead of it using you. From this level, you can actually rewire yourself and install new mental programs, because everything that we get is a reflection of our internal wiring, or the deeply rooted beliefs that we have about ourselves. Thoughts repeated over time install beliefs, especially when we start to assign truth to them. When you gain the ability to shift your thoughts, you can shift your beliefs, which then alters the actions that you take, which then can create an entirely new direction in life. This might be hard to wrap your head around first, especially because it pretty much goes against everything that we've been conditioned to believe since we were born. But I promise you, this little shift in awareness and how you look at yourself and how you view your thoughts is extremely powerful, and maybe just the shift you need to break out of your unsatisfying life and start living up to your potential. The most important mental shift I made thus far in my life is to detach from my thoughts. Learning to just let them pop up in your head and float away like clouds instead of clinging on to every one of them. Detaching from your thoughts allows you to look at them from a higher level of awareness. You can analyze them, and now you don't get caught up in them because they are just a thought. You're trying to become a student of your thoughts and figure out, why is this negative thought occurring? Why do I feel disempowered, or why do I feel limited? Why did it form? Was it something from my past? From my childhood? And then you realize it is just a thought. I can easily shift my thoughts over time and replace them with ones that empower me. You can tap into that higher level of viewing yourself, and now you can edit yourself like a damn video game. Now you can enter a social situation, and while in it, you can consciously remember, okay, I wanted to work on being more assertive and authentic, and consciously make that shift. That's where the true transformation happens, because you stopped identifying with the anxiety and fear, and you realize you can become anything you want with practice. And to build off of that last example, let's say someone calls you out and your initial reaction is to get angry or offended. That situation is the stimulus that created the initial emotional reaction. Now, there's a split second where if you can gather yourself before you respond, and you remember that you are only the observer of your thoughts and emotions, and you can choose how to think and choose how to act, then you can choose any reaction to the stimulus that you want. You can learn to create space between the split second of the event and the thoughts that occur because of it, the time between the stimulus and the response. You can choose your reaction and start to mold your reality however you choose. If you feel anxiety, you can notice it, accept it as just a thought, and then consciously choose to act anyway despite the anxiety. If you feel anger, instead of lashing out at someone and doing something that you'll regret, you can notice the anger, accept it, collect yourself, and remember that they are only projecting onto you what they feel inside. You can be the bigger person and start to really be a source of positivity and understanding, and you will be rewarded because of that. The world needs more of these people. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Now, if you keep choosing your response in emotional situations over and over again, that's when you start to master yourself. And not many people can do this, but you can develop this control and put yourself way ahead of others over time. That's true self-awareness. Really try to understand what I'm saying here, ponder it, think about it. Hopefully I explained it in a simple enough way. It's not easy, but I hope you can understand it, because this little shift alone transformed me and literally allowed me to become the creator of my reality. If you want to get more into this topic, I highly recommend you looking into Eckhart Tolle. Listen to him, read what he has to say. He explains it pretty well. Don't forget to give the video a like, comment with any feedback, and subscribe to support the channel.